All right, I'm going to talk about why you should not pay your credit card off to zero balance every single month, and when in the month should you pay it so you can optimize your credit. Okay, very, very important. What you want to do is when you apply for credit, you want everything to just go so smooth because most credit applications are done by computers. A human never looks at it unless there's some errors, right? Unless there's a variation on the name. Like for me, right? If you do Javier A, my last name Hinojo, or is it going to be Javier Antonio Hinojo? If I start messing around with that on my applications, my middle initial, or my whole middle name, if I'm a junior or no junior, right? That just raises a little bit of a red flag. So maybe a human eye looks at it and you have a lesser chance of getting approved. That's with anything, okay? With anything. The more consistent that you have your credit profile, the better, right? The same name as always, the same address as always, the same phone number as always, the same email address as always, the same income. Even if it changes a little bit, try to keep the same income. Don't put today you make 200K and then tomorrow you make $1 million and then 3 months later you make 150K, right? It's just not going to go well, right? Even if you get an increase, right, in your salary, right, just go ahead and start adding that to that. But always try to have the same amount of income, okay? Don't forget, put it on your phone, okay? So very, very important. That's when you apply for a credit card. Now, when should you pay your credit card and how much of a balance should you leave on your card? I'll give you an example. I have a card that's, let's use one of my regular cards that has like 5K limit, right? I have some that have 40K. I have one that has a 5K limit. The one that has a 5K limit, I want to leave about a $10 balance every single month. I don't want to pay to zero. I want to leave a $10 balance because it shows on the credit profile on FICO, right, that you're actually utilizing the credit, and it just gives you a better score, right? It just does, right? I don't know why, but it just does, right? Anywhere from like $10 to $30, and always try to leave it the same amount. Like that particular credit card, I know it's a Bank of America card. I always leave a $10 balance, right? I have a spreadsheet, and I know when my due date is, and I pay. If you pay before your due date, you don't get charged any interest, right? Say my balance is $3,000, and if I pay, $2,990 because I want to leave a $10 balance, I don't pay any interest, right? I only pay interest on my balance, which is $10. That's the due date, okay? Now you have a statement date. If you look at your statement, open up your statement, and you'll see, right? It'll say January 12th through February 11th. It'll have a statement date on top. That February 11th, that's when the statement closes. It's not the same as your payment, your due date. Your due date will probably be 3 to 5 days before your statement close date. Okay, so if your statement closes on the 11th of February, your due date is probably the 8th of February, the 5th of February. Let's just assume that it's the 8th of February. So what you need to do is you need to pay, right, everything off except for like $10, right? My $40,000 credit card, I leave like $28 balance, right? It's not going to be a lot. It's, anywhere from like 10 to $30, and always make it the same, okay? So I go ahead and pay, all my balance except for $10 on my due date because I don't want to pay any interest, okay? But very, very important. So my due date is done. Bam, I paid, I'm okay. But if I happen to charge something the next day, it's $1,000, okay, on the 9th, and then it posts on the 10th, and then the statement date is on the 11th, well, guess what my statement balance is going to be? It's going to be $1,000. Now, I don't owe that money until my next billing period, but when I close out my statement and when it gets reported to the credit profile, the credit card companies don't report your balance from your due date. They report the balance from the statement closing date, which is 3 to 5 days later. So if you charge $1,000 on the 9th because your due date was on the 8th, you're good. You pay your credit card bill. You don't pay any interest, but it posted on the 9th, 10th before your statement date. So guess what happens? You have $1,000 statement balance. Okay. Again, you don't pay interest on that because you got till next 30 days to pay it. But it reports to the credit profile saying, hey, you have $1,000 balance on your credit card. That is $5,000. Ideally, you want to keep a 35% utilization fee and like ratio. But your credit score will drop a few points because you have $1,000 balance. If you notice you keep a $10 balance all the time, right, it'll start giving you consistent credit score. And that's what I do with all my credit cards. I make sure that I have a $10 to $28 statement balance, not on my due date, right? I go ahead and do that on my due date, but I always check it the day before my closing statement. If my statement closes on the 11th, even though I paid it on the 8th, I check on the 10th, make sure there's nothing that came in, like my kids didn't order something at Amazon, right, for $300, and he's going to drop my credit by 15 points. It's very important. So I check it. I make sure if there is a charge, I pay that off again, right? I make sure I still have that $10 balance, $10 to $28 balance. And then it reports to the credit profiles, hey, I have a $10 balance. If you look at the history, the 12-month, 2-year history, which a lot of banks look at, they look at the last 12 months, average balance and average credit utilization for some of these business lines of credit and bigger credit lines, like a personal line of credit, right? If you have $200,000 worth of credit card credit, and for the last 2 years, you've used $999,000, and then you pay it all off for 30 days and you go apply for a business line of credit, you're probably not going to get approved, right? I can't say you will or you won't. Or a personal line of credit, you probably won't get approved because they're going to look back 12 months, 24-month look back, and they're going to load us like, hey, this guy had 99.9 credit utilization, right? So they do look at that. It takes into effect. If you're going to go in and ask for $100,000, $200,000, if you ask for $5,000, probably won't matter. But if you want real money, $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, they look at the last 2 years of your average balance. So start keeping those balances now. Start today. I know maybe you've, like most of us, like I did, I would always carry a balance on my credit cards, or, when I was getting started, I would move money from one account, other account. Man, what a pain in the ass. But if you can do it, start paying those balances down pretty slowly. If you have a credit card that is $10,000 and you have a $9,900 balance, I also don't recommend you paying it off at one shot unless that's what you do all the time. If it's been like that for a year and you pay it off, your credit card company come back and say, hey, by the way, you only have a $5,000 balance now, right? Or credit availability. They might cut your credit in half. So pay like $2,000, pay like $2,500, pay like $2,000. Take 2 or 3 or 4 months to pay it all the way down so that you don't get dinged and they lower your credit limit, because that'll also hurt your credit score. Okay, it'll definitely hurt your credit score, and it'll hurt you because now your lendability starts to drop. So that's a tip between your due date and your statement date so you can have better credit. Leave any comments you have, any questions, I'll try to answer them. Check out my other videos, how I got $135K line of credit, and how I went out and I try to use how am I going to make, another $100,000 or $200,000 with that line of credit that I got for free, basically, with none of my personal credit. Is all business related. It doesn't show on my business credit card. Go check out my other videos and subscribe to my YouTube channel and my other social media.